Just let George Bush know that I'm at the Eldora oil refinery. And if he wants to bomb me there, he can bomb me there, you know. The blood will be on his hands.
It was more humanitarian than political, really. I mean, it was a gesture of solidarity, which is like, that's non-political, really. It's a question of we're all human beings. Why do some of us have to suffer? Because we happen to live in a place which has a great deal of oil.
They're bombing around us.
And bombing the army.
Bombs.
What?
People from 52 countries, don't forget, including people from the United States and Britain, Iceland, Japan, South Africa. A lot of black people, this is very important too. 45 people were there from South Africa. Mandela himself, understood, wanted to come, but people said he was a bit too old.
We heard when we were in Baghdad that Dick Cheney's daughter was trying to get into Baghdad to be a human shield, which would have been wonderful. I wonder if he would have dropped bombs then.
January 2003. 3 double-decker buses leave London. On board, a group of people united by one powerful aim. They and over 300 others from all over the world plan to risk their lives to stop a war. This is the story of the human shields who went to Iraq.
Our next speaker is the man who brought us all together, the man whose vision has inspired this whole movement, which this is just the start of. His name is Ken Nichols O'Keefe.
I'm very fortunate in that I've been able to create a spark that's lit a fire, and that fire is growing. But it's not about me, and if I were to go tomorrow, this is going to continue. This is much bigger than me, and I will always take great pride in that. And I want it to be known that what I say for myself, and I say it because I believe it and I stand by it, but I certainly do not represent everyone who's here. We can find many reasons to disagree, and I think that this is one of the most important things that we as people need to understand. We must agree to disagree on personal philosophies and ideologies and strategies. My unit did earn a Combat Action Award. I do know what it sounds like to have a bullet fly by, but I personally did not kill anybody, but I was in a supporting role in the infamous Highway of Death in which 20,000 plus retreating Iraqis were slaughtered. So I do bear some guilt in that.
I passionately support the Iraqi people, and therefore I volunteered to go with the convoy and to go with my buses.
You will drive the bus?
I'll drive this bus. I have a friend who will drive that bus.
It was a very small band of people involved. Essentially, there's just been 3 people working from an office the size of a double bed for about 10 days to get the show on the road.
We will be where we think they're going to drop bombs. That's where we'll place people, because if those bombs damage Iraqi people, then we've failed. And what we're saying is, if you kill Iraqi people, you kill us too.
I'm going to Iraq, representing my local church, to be with my brothers and sisters of the book, the Christians as well as the Muslims in Iraq, in their time of danger and fear.
I just don't like bus rides there, you know, not a 9-day one. But look, I think this is the best way of doing it. We're going to gain momentum as we head through Europe, and you know, we've picked the sites well, and yeah, it's a great opportunity to gain exposure as we roll, gain momentum, gain more people.
There's a problem, we sit and talk. If we are civilized enough, we can talk, we can negotiate, and we can make the best of it without talking about war.
I'm saying in removing myself from the comforts of my own community, placing myself in this situation, that my life, the life of my children, means no more, no less than the life of all children and all people globally.
The next computer upgrade or the next job upgrade or the next raise and all that bullshit is not going to make you happy. And I've learned that lesson, and I've never felt so alive. You know, I'm going into a potentially dangerous situation where I could die, but I've never felt so alive. And if I die, then I die a man at peace with myself and a happy man.
Although the buses was an extremely good idea, very good publicity, and to get it out to the public, to the world, it was really, really good. But in the end, people made their own way there. They didn't really need transport. They just needed the incentive and the encouragement to do something and empower themselves, which then they did. It was round about 300-400 people, yeah. Because there were a lot of people coming independently through Syria, through Oman as well, but not even going through the office. So in a way, we kind of lost control because this appeal had gone out to the world and people had made their own way to Baghdad and weren't really bothered about being associated with any particular group. They just went.
Okay, is that it? Have we confirmed? Is that it? Does anyone know of anyone that's missing? Does anyone know of anyone that's missing? Nah? Let's go, lock it up, we're off.
Anybody else who's coming with us, can I have your passports? I want every single passport. Thank you.
You're a disgrace to this country. You're going on a summer holiday? One of you. What? Come on and work. Come here and say it.
Don't waste your time going out there. They've ruined this country. They've ruined this country already.
You're a disgrace, you're a disgrace, you're a disgrace, and you're a disgrace. Piss off. Don't come back. Yeah.
Getting to Paris, when we're in Paris off fast roads, then we'll just pull over for a minute. We'll put the mast up on this, and we'll then run, and we'll put the white flag on it, and then we'll run through the Champs-Elysees and blah 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 to get to the Bateau Phare. We'll go, the order will be this white taxi, the red bus, the black bus, and then the other red bus.
In France, as they will all across Europe, people come out to show their support.
You are very brave, and I really want to thank you, but I don't know how. So thanks. I can't say better. I know you are not going to avoid this war, but you are doing your best. So thank you for your solidarity.
الثورة هي البديل. الثورة هي البديل. ثورة حتى النصر. ثورة حتى النصر. ثورة حتى النصر. ثورة حتى النصر. نحن فداك يا شهيد. نحن فداك يا شهيد.
Well, yeah, but that isn't going to help. No. What we need to do is to fix out what we're going to do. Otherwise, we end up at midnight with nothing to eat and nowhere to stay.
We have Polish media on board who has a contact at the Vatican. Potentially, we may get those buses in Vatican Square when the Pope gives his address. If you're not aware, the Pope's been calling on peace, and this is sort of our way of responding to the Pope's call and saying, well, we're obviously in favor of that.
Okay, and you're prepared to stay in Baghdad even if the war begins?
As long as we're useful, and myself personally, I intend to stay there, and if the war happens and body parts start flying, then I want to document it, get it out to the internet so the world can watch it, and if that's the way we want it, then shame on us all.
Perdiamo la possibilità che la terza guerra mondiale cominci. Abbiamo ragazzi, gli angeli del mondo!
There are problems along the way. Arguments about the route, criticisms of the leadership, and the world's press have them in their sights.
Having the Telegraph coming on board? The Telegraph? Why?
The press, especially the major corporate media, and of course the governments that are carrying out this war would love nothing more than to drive a wedge between us, and I simply am not willing to allow that to happen any further than it's already been done. And I know that many of them act as the nice guy, but they're snakes, and they'll stab you in the back as soon as they get a chance.
There are quite big Saturday stories. I mean, last week there was a tube crash, and you guys were going off, so I did all that on Saturday. And, you know, I mean, like, the Queen Mum died on a Saturday, Princess Anne died on a Saturday, you know. All those kind of things that happen on a Saturday, you need to make sure you've got enough people.
We've just had feedback from the article that Jane was writing for the Sunday Times, and basically it's a hatchet job, and worse than that, I've actually been quoted, and she did say she hadn't quoted me, but she has, and here it goes. I said something to the effect of, there's no democracy on this bus, you either do as Kenneth Nichols O'Keefe says, or you fuck off.
Welcome to Greece.
Some people say that the Iraqi government will exploit us. Would you translate that?
Για όσους είναι σκεπτικούς για αυτό το ταξίδι, όσοι βρίσκονται για αυτό το ταξίδι, ο Γκότφρι θέλει να πει ότι πολλοί πιστεύουν ότι η κυβέρνηση του Ιράκ θα μας εκμεταλλευτεί.
But all we can say to that is that we are coming with clean hands, and we are offering ourselves. And you can do what you like with a gift. You can throw it away, or you can use it properly.
In Istanbul, they get their most enthusiastic reception.
The support in Turkey has been amazing. We're going to Iraq because the Iraqi people have suffered enough under 12 years of sanctions and wars. Most people in the world today realise that this war has nothing to do with humanitarian concerns or weapons of mass destruction, and they know that this war has everything to do with oil and US hegemony.
Religious and left-wing groups unite to express their opposition to the war, an alliance rarely seen in Turkey.
Guys, Christian.
Is this the best?
Well, it's a lot of action, whatever it is.
Are they cops? Oh shit, they're all cops.
Yeah. They're all cops?
Yeah. Good. What happened with him?
Back in the cars.
Are they going to take us?
Yeah, they're gonna escort us to the Iraqi embassy.
Sorry.
The Iraqi government is eager to extract maximum publicity from the coming of the human shields, but the human shields aren't so keen.
Thank you.
إنما تقولون إن الإنسانية ما زالت بخير.
Bu duruşla insanlığın hala devam ettiğini ve hayırlı bir iş yaptığını gösteriyorsunuz.
But I hope we don't have much of this, quite frankly, because we're not friends of the government, we're friends of the people, and they will try and compromise us. Up to a point, it doesn't matter. I don't see we can do very much harm, actually, to our country. But the less of that that goes on, the better, I think.
We were sitting in the Iraqi embassy watching TV of an interview with George Bush, who was talking about the human shields, and he says that we've been forced by the Iraqis to go. They must have kidnapped me in London and shoved me onto this bright red double-decker bus, and they've been ferrying us all across Europe.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't know this, right? The Iraqis have organised it.
We have been on this border for 8 hours.
The next leg of their journey takes them through Syria, the last country before they enter Iraq. The Syrians give them a warm welcome and some traditional Arab hospitality.
هات صور معها.
Where, me? Me? Cute. Hello.
The border is 403 kilometres from Baghdad, according to the map that we saw in Syria, which is about 8 hours driving, depending on the roads, which we don't know about yet.
think they feel they can bring Coca-Cola and Big Mac and things to the place and it'll all be much, much better. And if there's a bit of collateral damage, then that doesn't matter. Really, if we could save one, I mean, how many burgers are worth one child dying in agony? I don't want to see America take over the world. She's quite powerful enough already. I don't want to see cheap oil. Oil ought to be getting more expensive, not cheaper.
Almost 3 weeks after leaving London, the human shields cross the border into Iraq and get a free tank of petrol. Cheering crowds greet them on the road to Baghdad.
Well, these are the people that George Bush wants to bomb, you know? They're expressing their opinions about that. I usually call that resistance, you know? Resistance to genocide is a very good thing.
واحد
واحد
اثنين
اثنين
ثلاثة
ثلاثة
أربعة خمسة
خمسة. I like خمسة. خمسة.
واحد
They enter Baghdad. Here, despite the threat of war, life goes on with surprising normality. But evidence of the crippling impact of international sanctions isn't hard to find.
The Iraqi people just love the British people. They just love them. And they were saying to us, why is your government, not the British people, why is your government doing this to us?
The government of America and England is not good, but the people in these countries is good.
نيابة عن الشعب العراقي العظيم الذي
I say thank you for the human shield because they are coming to help the Iraqi people, and Iraqi people want the peace.
In my country, only 3 words. About what? About oil? About oil? About petrol? Why petrol? The humanity is so important.
Obviously, they did not go into the nuances of the British political system, but it's a question they had on their mind. You know, why is your government doing this to us? We couldn't answer it. Sorry, mate, we don't know. I know, we just don't know. But the British people don't like it.
honestly mean it that you are a very, very dear guest on the Iraqi people.
Biz gerçekten kalpten ve gönülden söylüyoruz ki sizler bizim sevgili misafirlerimizsiniz.
And believe me, every Iraqi people you will meet, we will remember your face. Maybe he doesn't know your name, he doesn't know your language, but he will remember your face, that you shared with him a human feelings, and you came so far to share with him human feelings that he needs now.
It is, I think, the feeling of many of us who have come that we would like to deploy ourselves, if we can use that word, at human-directed sites, at schools, hospitals, daycare centers, indeed religious centers, churches, and even archaeological sites. The Iraqi people are some of the oldest people on the planet. We want to defend that history as well as the living history that exists here. So we would ask that those sites be also offered to us so that we can help to defend human life from the collateral damages of the U.S. bomb.
Using democracy, we will give you the choice where to be.
Demokratik olarak da nerede olmak istediğiniz seçim hakkını tabii ki
In
sizlere
Baghdad
vereceğiz.
or Basra or Mosul or Kerbala or Najaf, whatever you want to be, if you like to have a choice.
Basra, Musul, Kerbela veya Bağdat nerede olmak istiyorsanız seçim hakkı sizin olacak.
Even in some cases, maybe you like to be in this plant, not in that plant. Also, we will give you the choice.
Eğer belli bir tesiste olmak istemiyorsanız, başka bir yere yerleştirilmek istiyorsanız bu seçim hakkı da sizin olacak.
Then we will arrange for you to see the country.
They find a country ruined by war and a decade of sanctions. Factories struggle because they can't get spare parts. Hospitals suffer from a lack of medicine. There are shortages of food, and some of the most vital elements in the country's infrastructure are crumbling. Until 1991, Baghdad depended on this purification plant to provide its drinking water. But now the plant can't supply all the city's people.
Before the 1991, before the war, the capacities of the plants is sufficient for drinking water for all the city, Baghdad city. But because after 91, the plan to have a new projects, new plans, and because of the sanction, we cannot build these plans. So now the shortage is about 1 million cubic meter per day at this moment.
Water treatment is vital. Untreated water will spread killer diseases across the country. In the First Gulf War, the Americans deliberately targeted the water treatment plants. Waterborne diseases such as typhoid and cholera became rife in the country, killing many thousands of people. The next war threatens more disease, more death. The human shields also visit the Al Amaria air raid shelter, site of one of the most notorious events of the 1991 Gulf War.
This is my brother friend, Ammar.
US missiles hit the shelter where hundreds of civilians had taken refuge. Over 400 people died.
We come here because 408 people died in the shelter here due to George Bush's so-called smart bombs way back in '91. It was a day that really weighs heavily on my heart. I remember it, you know. As U.S. citizens, we object strenuously to the murder of those children, these people from this neighborhood, and we don't want this to happen again. We are asking George Bush and the United States government to stop the threat of bombing, because here is the tangible impact of what happened out here back in 1991. 408 people fused into the ground. You know, you can see their handprints and their silhouettes on the wall.
All these bits of light, when the lighters break, even the disposable lighters which cost us next to nothing at home, he repairs them all, look, and he fills them up. It's fantastic. It just shows the difference in the cultures. We chuck things away, and they repair it.
I know.
A visit to a hospital reveals evidence of what appears to be the most horrific legacy of the First Gulf War. In 1991, America and Britain used weapons containing depleted uranium to attack Iraq.
Oh, that blew the hell out of it!
There's growing evidence that exposure to depleted uranium, DU, causes cancers and horrific birth defects in the children of those exposed.
What kind of increase have you seen in cancers that could be related to DU since the Gulf War?
All types of cancer.
All types.
Are increasing incidences, as well as other diseases. For example, cancer like gastrointestinal tumors, breast cancer, blood malignancies, leukemia, and other malignancies.
Between 1992 till now, we have an increased number in congenital anomalies and in the leukemia, especially for the children. With some of the pictures in the last 5 years. Oh no. There is no scalp. There is an adhesion between this area and the bag.
These are lips? Here?
Yes, these are lips.
So what do you do with these children then? What do you do with them?
They
They
as
did at
delivered,
birth.
they did suddenly.
They didn't even tell us, to stay, for instance, away from downed tanks or armored personnel carriers, which may very well have been hit with depleted uranium. I mean, my ex-wife has had 3 miscarriages by me and 2 children from another man. So, who knows? Maybe I might have given or fathered a deformed baby had the children that were miscarried been born. I don't know.
This is the road known as the Highway of Death. Here in the First Gulf War, American soldiers slaughtered thousands of retreating Iraqi soldiers. Soon another war will start. And it's at this point that some human shields become unhappy with the behavior of their Iraqi hosts.
I think some people in the group thought that this was a game up to they arrived to Iraq, that probably the Iraqis would say, okay, we show you Iraq, and then after 10, 14 days, put them back on the buses and go home. But the Iraqis are taking this seriously, and they really want them to be and act as human shields on probably the most dangerous spots here.
So, implementing your will, that you will practice what you came here for, as a messenger of peace, as an ambassador of peace, to be in the site that has relation to the human life. And these sites are, as we have talked about it before, the water purification plants.
Il s'agit de nettoyage de l'eau, purification de l'eau,
Electricity power stations,
les centrales électriques,
food storage,
l'entreposage de nourriture,
communication,
les communications,
refineries.
So many of the people who came here want to be in hospitals. I mean, if they say no, no, you cannot go to these places, and even more unreasonably say, you've got to deploy instantly, within 24 hours, to these sites which we've not supplied to you, which you have had no time to assess and actually visit. And that's as good as saying, leave, basically.
The person who was speaking for them, Dr. Hashimi, said to us, well, you can go to schools, but the kids have gone home, so you're protecting a building. We're here to protect people, mainly. So that wouldn't help us much. You want to go to hospitals. In the hospitals, the doctors are very busy with patients. They haven't got the medicine they want to have, haven't got anesthetics, many drugs they haven't got. You'd be in the way, it'd be a liability, a burden.
It's very difficult for me to say if this about going to hospitals and all this, if that is a good excuse to get out of this place with some honor, or if it's seriously what the people expected, that they would go to hospitals and schools. I mean, that I cannot answer that one, but it could also be, for some of them, an excuse to walk out of this saying that we wanted to go there, but they wanted to put us here, so now we leave.
It got to a stage where the Iraqi regime couldn't communicate and didn't know what these human shields wanted. They were very demanding. There was meetings starting at 6 p.m. and finishing at 12 o'clock at night, midnight. And all you heard in this meeting were criticisms. Oh, the Iraqis are going to do X, Y, and Z. They're going to move us from one site to another site. We never invited Friendship, Peace and Solidarity to come sit on the platform and to be able to comment on these suggestions or these remarks made by the human shields. And it was always them and us. I just believe the whole approach was wrong, and this is not what the approach that you take when you go into a country that's under attack. You ask the questions, absolutely, but you should be, instead of making all kinds of judgments or spreading fear around, Ken Nichols or Keith used the word porn. Why should anybody use that word until you know whether that's going to happen or not?
It's announced 5 human shields will be deported.
Trying to leave everybody alone, with nobody giving orders to them, with nobody interfering, with nobody calling meetings 3-4 hours a night, that it's over. And those people will leave tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Who are the people? Who are the people? Mention the names.
I said, who's on the list? And he turned around and pointed to me and said, you're on the list too.
Wow, John, you've been kicked out of a country. Now, how do you feel? Explain why you think you've been kicked out of a country.
I think it's totally unjust. I organized the people into the sites. I plan to be here until the bombing, through the bombing. I plan to give my life here.
You have to leave.
And I have to leave? My name is Gordon Sloan.
You have to leave too.
Okay, thank you very much. I have honestly had a beautiful time in your country, and your country is full of the most wonderful people, and I'm sorry that it's come to this, but thank you very much.
These nice feelings from the Iraqi people.
I've just been forced to leave a country. This is my first time this has ever happened to me, of course, so hopefully it won't happen again. If I don't get assassinated on the way out, I'll be very fucking surprised.
To be now
number one.
Okay.
This is the only reason why you're here.
Beautiful.
And this is a wrong motivation.
Beautiful.
And you try to pull me with this lie,
Okay.
you're very clever about
Okay.
it. But now you go. Now you go. With this lie, you wanted to pull me back on your side because you lost power, because you've lost your face. Now you go. Go to hell. Go. Go, you fucker. You go. Go, you piece of shit.
There's a group of us who are committed to staying as human shields in Iraq. We'll leave tomorrow to the 5 sites. We'll stay there as long as we can. We will assess daily the situation, our relationship with the Iraqi officials, our relationship with the media, our relationship with each other, and we will assess daily our situation. But we have the intention, the commitment to stay to the end.
As the war gets closer, the human shields take up position in key sites.
We're at the Daura oil refinery. There are close to 3,000 families or employees here. This is the community where they live. These are their wonderful, wonderful children. And our house is kind of in the middle of the community, and we love being here. They've been so wonderful to all of us. This is why I'm here, to stop war, to stop the devastation of these people. There's no nation in the world that has the right to destroy another people. Yesterday I was with the babies at the nursery. You know, they're our future. We can't destroy them. Just take a look at them. And I am an American, and I have been so welcomed here. They understand not all Americans are for this evil thing that's about to happen any day now.
My mind says this is completely stupid, but in one way or the other, my body says yes. So, well, I go for it.
Are you going to the power plant?
Yeah, I'm going to the power plant.
One of the London buses sets out for Baghdad's South Power Station, likely to be a key target in the coming invasion.
Yes. We are going to Baghdad South Power Station.
Yes. Power station. What is power?
Merkaz or Kaharaba. Mush Dora, la. We thought it was a Dora, but it isn't. It's not a Dora.
Like a Dora. Okay.
It's like a Dora, but it's got soldiers all the way around it.
Okay.
There are 15 people moving in here today, and this group has decided that it wants to stay here and protect this plant. So there isn't a rotating system. Inevitably, some people will have to leave for one reason or another, and they will be replaced by new shields. The operators of the plant have very kindly provided this accommodation, and I just went in there a minute ago. They've made loos and showers and everything, really done it nicely. They're providing food.
Look, that's a good easy one. Muhammad Ali. That's the Ain and the Lam and then the Ya with the E like that. Al-Rabi'i. I expect Finnish is worse. The people of Iraq have suffered for nearly 20 years now or something. They were encouraged into the war with Iran. They were given weapons of all kinds to do the will of people who weren't brave enough to do the fighting themselves. They then found themselves in the Gulf War, where over 100,000 of their troops were shot in the back as they fled from the mightily superior enemy, where 400 women and children were shriveled in an air raid shelter where they thought they'd be safe. They thought there was something called the Geneva Convention, and sanctions, which I read 3 or 4 years ago had been responsible for the death of 500,000 Iraqi children. it beggars belief that we, Christian nations, Britain and America, where 1 million people belong to the Protection of Animals Society, where people get up in arms when a child is badly treated, that we should seriously be proposing to continue this appalling record.
Today, we send a letter to George Bush telling him we have human shields deployed at 5 sites. We listed the exact addresses of the sites, and we faxed the letter off today. We will follow that up with letters from individual human shields to their local MPs, to their papers, to their prime ministers, to every man and his dog around the world. We will put names, we will put details, we will put maps, and we will put on websites, we will put wherever we can. I would suggest that anyone who has concerns or anxiety or worries about the situation should leave tomorrow, because we want a group that has already thought through this seriously to be staying.
I think some shields have to go home. They've got jobs to go back to, they've got money problems, they've got reasons out of their control that they need to go home to. I think others will decide to go home. I don't think any of us know how we're going to react. I mean, I don't think any of us have been in a war zone before to even have an inkling on how we're going to react. And I think it'll be different for each shield.
Well, I'm off, I'm afraid. I've shot my boat, really. I feel that most people will be going in the next week or so, and it seems best to stagger the thing and not have everybody scrambling for the available transport. And I spoke to my wife today, and I really felt I'd caused her enough distress, and she was so anxious that, but I must admit that I don't like the prospect of being tied up in months of civil war, because I just don't. I've got the Arabic, but I haven't got the energy.
While some human shields go home, many stay. Around 140 are there as the bombs fall.
The Al Dora site furnishes something like 30% of the power for Iraqi hospitals, schools, homes, so forth. So it was important to be there. When the war did begin, let's say the bombing began, we stayed there. We stayed there something like 3 weeks or so. The bombing most nights and often during the day. We did have water and electricity until the last 2 days. Now, the last 2 days we didn't, so we had some candles, and there was just one faucet, one tap we could turn on to wash our hands. So that's about all we could do. And the showers weren't working, so there was no water.
Boom, 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 boom. They're bombing around us.
They're bombing the army now.
What?
They're bombing the army.
Yes, of course.
They're bombing. Very close.
Giovanni, what do you want? Come on.
And we never had a shelter to go to, and we were living in a rather flimsy, imagine this very, very large refinery over, probably spread over a couple of miles, or at least sort of a mile and a half, and sat us in this rather, we were actually living in the old office admin block, which was sat next to all the water tanks. And we were just saying, as soon as they bomb the water tanks, we're going to drown, basically. That's what would have happened.
But it's 12 days of intensive bombing, and that kicked the whole thing off. But you soon get used to it. It's like everything else. The great virtue of being a human being, as opposed to a badger, that you're adaptable, you know.
Unless you have, been sat under a situation where you've had bombs rain down on you pretty regularly, it's difficult to say how you're going to react. But you find strength in one another is pretty much the answer to that. And I think we all supported one another throughout, especially through the bombing times, because you've got to.
They don't think so. Patricia, are you nervous?
We had to take turns with a Kalashnikov from the roof, but of course the objective wasn't to shoot anyone, it was just to fire into the air if looters appeared, which they did. But I didn't feel very easy with a peace volunteer badge on and a Human Shield t-shirt walking around on the roof with a Kalashnikov at 3 o'clock in the morning. I thought something's not right here.
There was times when I was very, I was very okay with it. It was part of life, and there was times when, you know, you just hear so much noise, and the whole building shook, and your windows shook, and you know it wasn't good. And then obviously you experienced the hospitals. We did a lot of hospital visits. We went and saw the market that was bombed, that there was still blood on the floor. A few days later, we'd gone and we saw a group of 4 or 5 houses that were not recognisable. They were rubble, and they had a huge crater in the houses, and there was evidence of children's books and teddy bears, and so evidence of normal life really that was left there. And the children had a rabbit hutch outside, so there were dead rabbits about. So all in all, it was
As the Americans and the British soldiers moved in, Uzma was surprised by the reaction of the Iraqis.
They just said, "What can we do?" That was their expression, raised their hands and, "What can we do?" And to a point, you know, I was brought up in the West, so I don't kind of understand that. But when you've been suppressed for so many years, including Saddam Hussein, including just not empowered and not understanding what they can do as individuals, then I guess that's the approach they're going to have. But very soon after, very shortly after, a few days after, did we start seeing signs of demonstrations, banners. Sooner or later, USA will kick you out. So you know, there was a lot of banners. What are you going to do about the disabled children? What are you going to do about the children dying in hospital? I saw many banners.
We see them kill 3 American, and the Iraq people kill every soldier of America.
Most of the sites that we occupied this time were bombed in '91. So, so looking at that, I believe we were successful.
As an individual, you do have that power, which is to take your person into the line of fire and say, no, we don't agree with this. And it's a simple enough act. It's all you have to do. And if enough people do it, then it's going to be very effective. It's worked before. There's a great history of passive resistance. I mean, look at Gandhi in India.
The troops are there now, true, but they themselves, by their own admission, don't intend to stay very long. They say they don't wish to be bogged down, they don't want another Vietnam. That's right, because people will resist, and no people will live under foreign domination for long.
We were a thorn in the side, in America's side. We were a nuisance to them. I don't think we made enough impact to obviously stop the war, which we didn't, but we certainly were a nuisance. And you know, maybe it'll be more effective next time.